Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and today we have some huge Pokemon news to talk about when it comes to Pokemon Quest. Because Pokemon Quest has been data mined, and information on all 808 Pokemon has been found. Now, I know what your guys' first thought is. 808? What? Zeraora? I thought that was 807, and you're right. And that's what makes things a lot more interesting about the data for 808 Pokemon being available inside of Pokemon Quest. Now, the first thing I thought about was the new Pokemon. That in the Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee trailer, at the end, it says you will meet a special Pokemon, and follow-up interviews, follow-up information has confirmed that this Pokemon is an entirely new Pokemon. Even more news. Trainers, the special Pokemon referenced at the end of Pokemon Let's Go is referring to a Pokemon never seen before, and it has been confirmed to be inside of Pokemon Go as well as Pokemon Let's Go. So that means we're playing around with the Pokedex in another mobile game, which makes things really interesting. Another aspect about Pokemon Let's Go is that Alolan Pokemon will be found inside of Pokemon Let's Go, despite it only having the original 151 Pokemon, and even Pokemon Go jumped ahead a little bit, and they released Alolan Executor. So that makes me wonder about how it's going to work in Pokemon Quest. Now, I know what you guys are probably thinking. Where is this data mine? Is this a fake? Is someone pulling a hoax right now? Am I just lying? How do we know that there's going to be new Pokemon potentially coming to Pokemon Quest? Well, that's where Michael comes into play. He's the guy behind Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire demo data mine. So we found out about the Mega Evolutions because the data for them was somehow inside of the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire data mine. We had Pokemon Sun and Moon data mined a week before the game came out. Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, also the guy behind Project Pokemon, and unfortunately PK Hex, but pretty much he cracks open Pokemon games and finds the goodness inside. The interesting thing was that right after Pokemon Quest was announced, it became available, and he said he'll take an in-depth look in about 2 hours. So 7:52 on May 29th, then boom, 9:48. Less than 2 hours later, he has the full text dump for Pokemon Quest, as well as a lot of resources. So we have all of the Pokemon images right here. If you need them, there we go. So we have Pokemon sprites, as well as the icons for the moves, which are called skill cons. Oh, this is actually really cool on its own. Like, if you just want the references or the resources, you can find them on Michael's Twitter. Full encounter listing for Pokemon Quest. Those playing along at home, Quest encounters are stored inside mono behavior objects. So just having all kinds of encounters and listings. And that's some good information that the data mine is giving us right here. So next up, we have content of the goods. So things that you can buy on the store. Some of the quests for the maps or the achievements. We even have the textures for the stones. It goes square, hexagon, octagon, then like special octagon. So just kind of giving us a lot of really in-depth information about what's inside. Also, he found Mew. So fairly substantial information overall, but unfortunately, I think it's fascinating that Game Freak is still using the same encrypted text format here as they did in X and Y. Not sure I understand the value of fixed key encrypting in text. That crypto's been broken for 2+ generations of games now. At least this old tool works perfectly. So the reason he was able to data mine it so much is that even on Pokemon Switch, even though Game Freak knows that there has been absurd data mining, they've effectively kept the same system, and it isn't absolutely perfect. Some of it is a little cryptic, some of it doesn't give us the full details on how everything works inside the game, but overall, this text dump has everything we need to know. For example, on day 1, I used it to figure out the recipes. So right here, we can see a whole lot of mushrooms and soft things, mushrooms a little red, and then we just line it up. So red, blue, yellow, gray, soft things blue. Well, that gives us mulligan stew, red, blue, yellow, gray, mouth-watering, plain, sludge, mud. So if you just kind of break it down, you can figure out the typings, you can make it for yourself, and then you can find it in. Also, favorite food of water, normal, poison, all that. So the information is inside of the game, and we can even use it to find out some other things that are harder to figure out, such as the tips. Every once in a while, you get one of your Moby tips, and tiny and ball mushrooms classified as mushrooms, big roots, apricorns classified as plants, so giving us cooking information and just how the game works. But this is where things get interesting, guys, because there are placeholders, and there's quite a few of them in many different places. So first off, we have the moves, skill names, a lot in the beginning, and then we go into our staples, Flamethrower, Surf, Leech Seed, all these moves that you can find inside the game with a couple of placeholders here and there, and then a big bunch near at the end. So it looks like there's room for new Pokemon moves to be added, and something like this makes it feel like maybe exclusive moves of future generation Pokemon are ready to be put in at some time. That this is a Switch game. It's going to come out to mobile late June, which also tells me that updates are 100% on the table, especially when we look at something like Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go introduced baby Pokemon before the second generation, then had a larger second generation rollout, but the only difference here is that Pokemon Go, they said from the beginning that, hey, we're going to be trying to release all of the Pokemon in the franchise inside of Pokemon Go at some point, which is why it's really interesting that we have 808. That there are enough placeholders inside of Pokemon listings to go to 808. So we have room for moves, we have updates for mobile and app games like this, updates on the Switch being very frequent for a lot of games, and then there it is. All the placeholders for all of the unreleased Pokemon, and if you don't believe that this is about Pokemon, well, this is the Pokemon breakdown. We have Seed, Lizard, Flame, Tiny Turtle, Bat. These are the descriptions of all 151 Pokemon, even going all the way into Mew, and then just transitioning seamlessly into the next generation. So I think it's really interesting that this data is there. Now, this isn't a 100% confirmation, but it does show that the room is there, that if Game Freak wants to expand, they've already kind of have the groundwork in there, and it isn't unusual for Game Freak to have full details in some place that it doesn't belong, such as with the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire demo. Mega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire demo had every single Mega Evolution. The Pokemon Sun and Moon demo had every single unreleased Pokemon, which blows my mind. That even though the demo for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire was data mined and all the information was leaked, Game Freak did it again for Pokemon Sun and Moon, and it seems like they just kind of have a habit of leaving things in when it comes to future. The details and the data is not inside of Pokemon Quest right now, but the placeholders are pretty compelling, and it seems very similar to Pokemon Go. That a lot of future updates in Pokemon Go have been predicted by the data mine as well, and I could easily see this same level of game, you know, just a simple mobile game kind of getting updated in a way very similar to Pokemon Go. So what do you guys think? I think that if done properly, it could actually just be a really awesome idea. That as long as, like, not all the Pokemon are just kind of shoved in together, like, I think it'd be pretty cool if I could hop on this boat, you know, click here, and then go to another region, go to another island that has region-exclusive Pokemon, and kind of soft start over. Now, I wouldn't like to start over from scratch, and then have to get, you know, 30,000 power level from scratch for every generation for every island, but it would be nice that if I'm struggling at one area, maybe there's a slightly easier area unlockable in some other region that I can go explore, and then I can go and cook for the Pokemon of that region to attract them there. Because one thing that would be very problematic is if we have 4, 5, 800 Pokemon that you can receive via cooking. So the recipes would need a little bit of a fine-tuning, hopefully, because I would just run out of resources. Like, it would be impossible to try to RNG all of the various Pokemon at all the various rarities for all the various generations. So as long as it's separated, as long as there's another region, I think I'm okay with this. Actually, I'm very okay with this, because then that means this game has a lot of staying power, and it'll be better than Pokemon Go. Because remember, guys, Niantic ruined Pokemon Go. They are the ones to blame, not Game Freak, not the Pokemon Company. Every single failing from Pokemon Go is Niantic's fault at this point, proven by the disaster that was Pokemon Go Fest, proven that they are a year behind in development. The game's only been out for 2 years. They're a year behind in development, so many failed promises, no battling, no trading, no PvP whatsoever, even though it was in the trailer. Almost 3 years. That trailer's almost 3 years old, and still no sign of the promised features. Spoofing, cheating is just rampant right now. We also have they killed the original Pokemon finding system. The server didn't work at launch. Like, pretty much Niantic has scared off 90% of the people that have played that game by just making it unplayable. So I feel like with this, you know, Pokemon Quest is being developed by Game Freak, and it's a pretty simple game. So I feel like it's not taking up too many resources, and it wouldn't be hard to make very simple, like, I feel like in a day, you know, just a fan, not even someone that works at Game Freak that has, like, access to all the tools, someone can make a sprite like this, make dozens of these a day, because it's just kind of fun like that. So I feel like it's very doable to just introduce new Pokemon, being able to update the Nintendo Switch, and then when the game comes out to mobile later in June, that seems very doable as well, and that's another thing that's kind of supported by the data mine. Because inside the data mine, we can actually find details that relate to the mobile game, and it looks like we can actually transfer things over. The transfer process is underway, not to another device. Please try again later. So a lot of like error codes and then making sure, like, checking the connection instructions on how to transfer. So it also looks like transfer between Switch and your phone could be possible via Bluetooth, because that's already been confirmed with Pokemon Let's Go. Pokemon Let's Go, transferring over Pokemon that's a mobile game into a Switch game, so it looks like it should be the same for Pokemon Quest. Then we have all this other stuff, so it's in the game. We already have the foundation for transferring in the game as well as a foundation for potentially new generations of Pokemon. So I think it's really cool. Tell me what you guys think. Is this what gets you in the game? Are you going to be like, fine, I'll play Pokemon Quest? I wasn't going to play it because I thought it was just a tiny, small little game that I'd beat, or that would just kind of be like a frustrating freemium game and not really worth it in the end. But now that you actually see it's going to be supported, it's going to get a lot more expansion. Now you can even transfer it over into your mobile phone. Is it worth the investment right now? Is it going to be something that holds you over to Pokemon Let's Go? Or are you just in that camp of nothing matters? This game sucks, Let's Go sucks, everything sucks until 2019, and it's probably going to suck then, but for some reason you still consider yourself a Pokemon fan. So you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.